This walk begins at the 15th Street Prospect Park station on the F and the G line. It's one of two stations in the New York City subway that has Prospect Park as part of the station name. The other is simply called Prospect Park on the B, Q, and Franklin Avenue shuttles. I should have said shuttle, singular. Anyway, despite the station saying Prospect Park, we're not at Prospect Park right now. We are in the southernmost, or just outside the southernmost exit to this station, which is not at a major intersection. It's just in the middle of a residential block. Don't know why they located the station here in the 30s, but this is a neighborhood called Windsor Terrace. It begins at the corner of Prospect Park West and Prospect Park Southwest, and is adjacent to the neighborhood of Park Slope. We are walking west on Windsor Place and approaching Prospect Park West, which is not in Prospect Park or adjacent to it. This Prospect Park West was formerly called 9th Avenue, and I don't know when the name was changed to Prospect Park West, but you will find many Brooklynites of a different generation still referring to especially this stretch as 9th Avenue. And the entrance to Greenwood Cemetery, about a half mile behind us, is still referred to as the 20th Street and 9th Avenue entrance in the signage that exists inside the cemetery. Here we have Farrell's Bar and Grill, which has been here almost 90 years in this very spot. I think it was featured in the film As Good as It Gets, and this whole stretch of Prospect Park West was seen in Dog Day afternoon. It took place on these blocks, and just recently a brick and mortar hot dog stand opened up called Dog Day Afternoon. Oh, okay. Thank you. Oh, no. No,
let me move all this stuff here.
Actually,
somebody's taking a picture.
It's better with you in it.
Let me move all this stuff out of the way. Yeah, go for it.
Oh yeah, I'm just walking the neighborhood and this caught my attention when I first saw it.
Yeah. You should come in sometime. Get something to eat.
I will, just not now. But thanks.
Have a good
Bye. This is Bartell Pritchard Square. So again, the dividing line, well, it's a circle, not a line. It's not a square, it's a circle. But this is what divides Windsor Terrace from Park Slope. The main entrance to Prospect Park. This is part of the Dinkins Dinkins. That was Freudian. De Blasio. During the de Blasio administration, the Parks Department installed signs at almost all the city's parks and playgrounds, listing in the lower left-hand corner the park's operating hours. Now, if you as you walk through Prospect Park, you might question, what is there to operate? It's not like Disney World. There aren't rides here. There is the carousel in the summer. Anyway, if you're interested, Prospect Park's operating hours happen to be 6 a.m. to 1 a.m. I guess at 1 a.m. everything shuts down. This is a recent public art installation. I should mention this is a Friday afternoon. It's around 1 p.m. We're probably not going to see a lot of people in the park because it is a weekday, nominally a work day and a school day. The temperature, by the way, is in the upper 30s, so I am surprised to see one of the runners up ahead wearing only shorts and shoes. Park drives in Prospect Park are closed to motor vehicles at all times except for park service vehicles and emergency vehicles. That's a change only in the last few years. This is the southernmost end of the Long Meadow. The Long Meadow stretches all the way to Grand Army Plaza, the northernmost and mainest entrance to the park. That part of the Long Meadow contains numerous ball fields which are inaccessible right now being mid-February as they undergo restoration. I think Little League season opens up in mid-April. And here we have a person riding a bicycle the wrong way in the pedestrian lane. Thank you. And Prospect Park, built in the 1860s, designed by Frederick Law Olmsted and Calvert Vaux, who had 10 years earlier designed and overseen the construction of Central Park. One of them, either Olmsted or Vaux, I recall reading, had said he was more pleased with what they had designed in Prospect Park than he was with Central Park. I don't remember which of the two is said to have said that. Here we have a runner running in the buffer section. Now she crosses over to the pedestrian section. The buffer was specifically put there to put a buffer between bicycles and pedestrians. A lot of pedestrians, unfortunately, I think, choose to walk or run in the buffer. This is the center drive, which cuts through the middle section of the park called the Nethermead. Mostly wooded area. But we are going to keep on the park drive, and shortly as we round the curve ahead, the lake should come into view. The lake is the third and southernmost section of Prospect Park. So from north to south, basically, it's the Long Meadow, the Nethermead, and the lake. If you're hearing planes overhead, which I am right now, we're walking under the approach path to LaGuardia Airport, or at least one of the most commonly used approach paths to LaGuardia Airport. So in pre-pandemic days, you could count on hearing and seeing an airplane overhead every 2 minutes like clockwork from early in the morning until late at night. And then during the height of the pandemic, the frequency of flights overhead could be as little as once every 15 minutes. It's still not back to every 2 minutes yet, but it is much more frequent than it was only a year ago. Before motor vehicles were banned, this section of the drive was used on weekday evenings and afternoons as a major conduit between Flatbush Avenue and Ocean Parkway and the Midwood section of Brooklyn, because there were very few traffic lights, and all the traffic is moving in one direction, and there are 2 lanes, and it could get quite busy in the late afternoon, but it's, as you can see, much more serene now. Okay, so here we have Prospect Park Lake, or just the lake. I'll just go a little closer so we can see the wildlife. I was here just 2 weeks ago, unfortunately without a camera. The lake was partly frozen, and there were all manner of birds, either swimming or walking on the frozen lake. We see ducks now, but there were geese, swans. There were a lot of seagulls on the ice. And then this roadway in the back on the other side of the lake is called Wellhouse Drive. It's the other road that cuts across the park. I don't know if that low-rise red brick building is the well house from which that drive got its name. Prospect Park has its own not-for-profit organization that raises funds to improve the park. It's the Prospect Park Alliance. It's not nearly as well funded as the Central Park Conservancy, and if you were to compare the condition of pedestrian paths, for example, here in Prospect Park to Central Park, to those in Central Park, you would see that the infrastructure in Central Park is generally in better condition. Now, we have across the little parking area there several police vehicles that appear to be from the mounted unit, including trailers. I can't tell from here if there are horses in them. Is it worth walking up a little closer? Well, we may never know. Oh yeah, I do see a horse. Just cutting across the lawn for a bit. I don't recommend trying this at home. And then we'll get ourselves on a path that will take us out of the park at the Park Circle entrance. Park Circle, not to be confused with the circle at Bartel Pritchard Square, which is where we entered the park. we're just going to exit here onto the last block of Prospect Park Southwest. Oh. Well, here's an artifact, unintentional, I guess, that this is the map that existed in the early 90s when these frames were built as part of restoring the perimeter sidewalk and benches and pavers that you see here. But that's an old map, and it was covered at some point by the current map, but not anymore. Each entrance to Prospect Park has its own unique identifying architectural features. Here we have the entrance, the Park Circle entrance to the park. And this is a major decision point if you are a cyclist exiting the park. Signage of this type directing bikers in several different directions it's pretty new. It's pretty much within the last 2 years. This is a very complicated intersection, and I'm not going to risk it by crossing against the light, so we may just have to wait a minute. Well, we'll risk it a little bit. Here we go. We are walking around Park Circle. And here are the police mounted unit vans that we saw before in the park. They seem to be going their separate ways. I hope that's not a sad commentary on law enforcement. We're going to have to wait a bit. Hey, finally we get our chance. This, by the way, is a new protected bike path. We're looking at Fort Hamilton Parkway, and we're this is the beginning of the Ocean Parkway bike path. Ocean Parkway leads to Coney Island, and I think It's about 6 miles from here. Well, don't know what's happening here. Oh, okay. Looks like there's some construction taking place and they're drawing water from a fire hydrant for construction. Hopefully they have a permit to do that. Otherwise, they are not authorized to use what could be hundreds of dollars worth of water. But this looks like the beginning of a construction project because sidewalk shed is, well, it's either in the process of being erected or dismantled. Hard to tell. We're on Coney Island Avenue now. Coney Island Avenue begins at the Park Circle. When we exited Prospect Park, we basically went 180 degrees around the circle. And Coney Island Avenue, as its name implies, or should imply, runs all the way to Coney Island. I guess it runs to the landmass that's typically referred to as Coney Island, but Coney Island Avenue actually ends in the neighborhood of Brighton Beach. Go figure. And there's a Brighton Beach Avenue that essentially begins where Coney Island Avenue ends. If you live in a neighborhood like Park Slope, this is one of your nearest gas stations. We're going to cross Coney Island Avenue. This is a park area called the Parade Grounds. It's, despite its name, it's primarily soccer fields. It's considered an extension of Prospect Park. So Coney Island Avenue, for most of its length, is commercial. There are a lot of South Asian groceries, restaurants, also a lot of kosher restaurants and groceries as you get further into the Midwood area. Here you see on our left something that looks unusual on a major commercial thoroughfare. one-car garages. In this area of Brooklyn, the streets that run north and south are numbered, and every fifth one of them is named and is an avenue, not a street. Make sense? So, Coney Island Avenue is the equivalent of East 10th Street. If we were to look one block to our left, we would, well, actually we see East 10th Street. Okay. Maybe I should have prefaced this with generally. So, as soon as the light changes, we're going to have a little bit of a surprise. All right, looks safe. So this is the surprise. This is a neighborhood that was planned early in the 20th century called Prospect Park South. The neighborhood is called Prospect Park South. It's several blocks south of Prospect Park. And at the entrances to the neighborhood are gates, posts like these, which have the names of the intersecting streets on them. Now, the architecture here is quite a bit different than what you would find in brownstone Brooklyn. The houses here are big, and a lot of them are center entrance houses. It's also unusual, although there are some examples of this in the Midwood area of Brooklyn, of a street like this having the landscape medians down the center. The street sign here, maybe hard to tell on the viewfinder today, but it's brown, indicating that we are in an historic district. This is the Prospect Park South Historic District. So the exteriors of all of these homes are protected by the city's landmark law. You can't make any visible changes to the exterior without getting the approval of the Landmarks Preservation Commission. The streets have kind of British sounding names around here. Argyle Road, Westminster Road, Albemarle. There's one house around here that was described as the Gone with the Wind house. Let's see if we can find it. Well, I don't know if this is what they were trying to describe as the Gone with the Wind house, but it certainly seems to be a good candidate. Is this the Gone with the Wind house? Or could it be this? Or this? every once in a while you see an ad for a house for sale in this neighborhood. And it's actually a comically high number of bedrooms often advertised for these buildings. Like 10 bedrooms, 7 bedrooms. Interesting architecture across the street. I don't know what style I would describe this as. When they were building houses in this area, they apparently like colonnades. And when we get to the next corner, we will be leaving the Prospect Park South neighborhood, and we will be turning east on Church Avenue. We're currently walking north on East 16th Street. So this is a very commercial area of Church Avenue. Church Avenue runs east-west from the Sunset Park area of Brooklyn all the way to Brownsville or East New York. When we get to the corner of Church and East 18th, we're going to cross Church Avenue and enter the Church Avenue station and express stop on the B and the Q. Two Coney Island bound trains, no Manhattan bound trains so far, and the countdown clock has been saying for the last 2 minutes that the Manhattan bound Q train is arriving. It's sad when you can't trust countdown clocks.
Unless you pick it up, you know what, you go to the post, and you take it out and put it in the truck, and then you bring it back to the lady. Because you remember she was asking us, you remember she was asking us, she was good now, and we said, you know, got to and all the land.